Well, week 3 power rankings. It's already here. Season's going by quick. Yeah, so let's get this started. Number 10, I have the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, they impressed me. If you saw my video, I thought they were going to win. They didn't just win, they dominated that game. It just was not working for JJ McCarthy. It was not. He was getting stopped left and right, and it was just not working. So, yeah, the Falcons, they impressed me. Offense didn't do as much, but defense was the reason that team won that game, and why I think they're going to be dangerous, if not worse than dangerous. They're probably going to be a really good team. They got the Panthers this week. That should be a win. If they can beat the Vikings, they can beat the Panthers. So, we'll see what happens with that win, but I got the Falcons at number 10. At number 9, the Bengals. The Bengals, they are a interesting team, and just when they finally get past their beginning of the season slumps, something crazy happens. Joe Burrow is out for 3 months. You got to deal with Jake Browning for 3 months. Is he a good quarterback? He is. And I think he'll be pretty good to start. But he is not the same guy he was. He is not the same guy. He is not a Joe Burrow. So they're going to be getting tripped up. I mean, they got teams like the Vikings, and which we'll see how they play. They got the Broncos, so they're actually starting to play some real competition now, and it's not looking good if you're the Bengals. So, yeah. They need to figure out what's going on with Joe Burrow. Turf toe, out for 3 months. It's just, this isn't going to end well if you're Cincinnati. Number 8, I have the LA Rams. I wasn't originally going to put them in the top 10. However, there's very few 2-0 teams, and they are still undefeated. The Rams haven't impressed me much, though. Especially in week 1. That's one of the reasons why they were not in the top 10 last week. They barely beat the Texans. Now, team coming up ahead also barely beat the Texans, but they look better than the Rams did. The Rams do not look good. They're getting really old. They get a good win against the Titans this week. We'll see how they play. They got the Eagles coming up. That's probably going to be a loss, but we'll see how the Rams play against the Eagles. Rams are still a good team. I'm sure they're a playoff team. They're in the top. They're number 8. They're getting close. So we'll see if they can beat the Eagles, though. They're definitely moving up in the power rankings, but I don't think they will. We'll see what happens, though. Number 7, I have the Colts. I said they were going to be moving up if they could beat the Broncos. Should they have beaten the Broncos? No. But they still beat the Broncos, and they still looked good. And even if they didn't beat the Broncos, I still probably would put them in my top 10 just because of how good this team has looked. The Colts look like they might be a playoff team. They're now pretty much a contender. They're the front runners in the AFC South race, since the Jaguars have now lost, and then the Titans and Texans are 0-2. Not a great start for any of them, but the Colts are 2-0. They're undefeated. Did I expect them to be? I expected at this time with Anthony Richardson to be 1-1. With Daniel Jones, 0-2. I did not expect them to beat the Colts, no matter who was at quarterback. To beat the Broncos, no matter who was at quarterback. And Daniel Jones, in my opinion, the worse of the two, at least at the start of the season. That's changed with the way he's played. He's played amazing. The defense has looked pretty good. The defense looked good against the Dolphins. Offense. The Broncos' offense, though, did better. However, the Colts were able to come up clutcher and were able to win that game. It's crazy. The Broncos should have won that game, but they didn't. And just to think, if Will Lutz did not doink that last field goal, the Broncos would be 2-0 right now, and the Broncos would probably be at number 7 or number 6. But, no, the Colts are at number 7. They're moving up. They got an easy task against the Titans this week, so they should go 3-0. And if they go 3-0, this Colts team is going to be a real dangerous team. Number 6, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Barely beating the Falcons last week and then beating the Texans yesterday. That's not look good. They have looked at times, they've struggled, especially mid-game, but they're usually able towards the end to come up clutch and get the win, put together a game-winning drive, and it seems to have worked both weeks. Did they really put together a game-winning drive week 1? Yes, they were down. They came back. They won, and then the Falcons had a shot. They didn't make it. Because they couldn't miss the extra point. They missed the extra point. Yeah. The Falcons. Not Falcons, the Buccaneers. This week, honestly, when Houston scored that last touchdown to make it 19-14, I'm thinking Texans are actually going to beat the Buccaneers. I was wrong. Tampa Bay's number 6. They deserve it. And I think who knows? Maybe they can move up into the top 5, depending on. They play the Jets this week, so they theoretically should go 3-0. However, the Jets did look good against the Steelers, so this team might struggle a little bit. But we'll get into that tomorrow for my predictions. Number 5, I have the Chargers. Dropping below the Ravens because the Chargers didn't dominate as much as the Ravens did. But we'll get to the Ravens in a minute. Chargers go down to number 5. They won. I was expecting a worser game than we saw. I was expecting a better game than we saw. I thought this was going to be a dogfight. But I guess the Raiders just aren't that good yet. The Chargers, on the other hand, look like they're going to win the division, similar to the Colts. Chiefs are 0-2 right now. Raiders and Broncos are 1-1. Chargers are 2-0. They got to play the Broncos. If they win that game, which I'm thinking they will, they'll win, and they will have beaten every team in their division and go 3-0. They're 3-0 in their division. They just got 3 more wins they need. So, did I expect that? No, I expected at this point the Chargers would go 1-1. I thought they would lose to the Chiefs, but they probably would beat the Raiders. And I did not expect, and I do not think they would have beaten the Broncos. Now that was at the start of the season. Now they should beat the Broncos because the Broncos have looked shaky. Sometimes their offense comes to play, sometimes their defense comes to play. So knowing that we have no idea what's going to come to play, they haven't been able to put together. They have some critical pieces missing, such as Drake Greenlaw. So we'll see how Denver plays, but the Chargers should theoretically win based off of what we have seen so far. And will the Chargers win a playoff game this year? Looks like it, but it's only week 2, so we'll see. Or week 3, really. Number 4, I have the Ravens. They moved up because the Ravens consistently knocked teams out. They did it. They did it. Now I predicted a blowout as well in this game, Browns-Ravens. They still blew out, and they were so far this week, this season, they have put up at least 40 points a game. We'll see if they're able to do that against the Lions. I don't think they will, but we'll see. That should still be a fun Monday night game. But Lions, Ravens. Yeah, that's Lions, Ravens. We'll see what happens with that. Off topic. Ravens have looked amazing. They lost, so they're not technically 2-0. They're 1-1, but that is a 1-1 team that I will let slide because of how good they have looked in both games, at least offensively. Defensively, they finally showed up this game, but it's the Browns, so that's like the Colts defense showing up against the Dolphins offense is good. We'll see. The Ravens, they got to play the Lions, like I said. We'll see if they put up more than, if they can put up 40 points or more and make it 3 straight weeks, but that's yet to be determined. But the Ravens are number 4. I would say they're probably the 4th best team in the league. Number 3, I have the Bills. The Bills going down. Why do I have the Bills at number 3? Not number 2. They went down. They still blew out the Jets. It's because of who's at number 1 and 2. They've just looked too good, honestly. Which, as an Eagles fan, I cannot wait to see how we play. But anyway, the Bills are 2-0, and they didn't play defensively. Did they play great against the Ravens? No. Offensively, did they play great against the Ravens? Yes. Their defense finally showed up this game. When the Bills' offense and defense show up, this is a scary Bills team. Why do they go down? Well, it's because the two teams ahead are scarier, in my opinion. The Bills, the way they're going, it should be between the Ravens and Bills in the AFC title game. The Chiefs, who knows if they're going to show up. The Bills, not much to say. Similar to the Ravens, they've consistently put out teams they should put out, and they're just getting the job done. So, should it have been closer? Probably, but it didn't. So, yeah. Number 2, I have the Packers. That's right. The Packers drop to number 2. Do not stay number 1, even though they won. Why? Because they allowed the Commanders to come back a little bit. And this is the Commanders. Did I pick the Commanders to beat them? Yes. Did I think the Commanders are going to beat them? I was cautiously optimistic about the Commanders. Never again. Especially against the Packers. The Packers just look incredible. Alright? This team is a Super Bowl contender. They are. They're no longer a playoff, consistent playoff team. They're a Super Bowl contender. With Micah Parsons, they are the biggest threat in the league for us as for the Eagles. They are the biggest threat in the NFC, if not the league. I think if we can win the NFC, I think we can easily beat the Ravens and Bills. The Packers are the team that scares me. I'm putting them at number 2. Why? Because of who the Eagles beat. Yeah. The Packers will probably be at number 1 if they continue to win and the Eagles slip up. But right now, they're number 2. They're holding on to that number 2 spot. Maybe Buffalo takes number 2 back, but we'll see what happens. Number 1, I've got the Eagles. No surprise. Defending Super Bowl champions. Just knocked off the team we played in the Super Bowl. The team we played in the Super Bowl is not the same team we played in the Super Bowl, even though we did blow them out. This Chiefs team is done, in my opinion. And if they lose to the Giants, they probably are not making the playoffs, and their downfall needs to be studied. The Eagles, I did not expect them to win. I thought the Chiefs would for sure take care of business at home. They did not. And the Eagles just, they didn't dominate like they did in the Super Bowl, but the defense is the strong point of this team. The offense is at times stalls out, but the fortunate thing with our team is we have a very reliable special teams, and we have a very reliable defense. That if the offense occasionally stalls out, the defense and the special teams can get us in positions to at least get points. And that's why the Eagles are the most threatening team to win the Super Bowl. They knocked off the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs do not look the same. They don't. I'm glad for that because I'm getting sick of the Chiefs always being on top. I'm glad the Chiefs are now at the bottom. But if the Chiefs, I'm serious, like this, like as a warning to the Chiefs. If they lose to the Giants on Sunday Night Football, this downfall for Kansas City must be studied. It has to be. But anyway, that's my power rankings for week 2 going into week 3. We'll see who goes up or down next week. See you in the next video, which will be my predictions video. So, I have 2 other channels, Southwest Gamer and Legos Models. So, if you're interested in like Retro Bowl or like Hoopland Gaming, that kind of games, like sport games, check out Southwest Gamer. If you're interested in Legos, check out Legos Models. And links in the description. And I'll see you in the next video.